All right. Welcome to another Psychology of Women and Gender. This is chapter 12. And in this one, where we talk about the female sexuality. Now, your discretion is advised. This is probably going to be inappropriate content. So, if you're one of those individuals who do not like inappropriate, you can go ahead and skip this video. But that's what this one chapter is going to be talking about, and more into the sexuality of within the female. So let's go ahead and let's get started with this one. And again, I warned you, you can go ahead and mute me if you just want to read through it. That's up to you. We're just gonna go together and review it. Any videos to any links, first off, I will leave it on a playlist on only on Angular Super 11 for the videos, and on the links you'll have see them on the description. They'll be labeled right there since there's so many links in this one, so it'll be easier to find them. All right. So let's get started. So this one, in this slide, we're going to be basically looking into the female sexual of the, I forgot that, pronounce that name. It's just like basically the studies since 1960 with Master and Johnson. Which, who knows clearly what those individuals are. And it's mostly, this slide will be, it talks about the early days and the 4-stage models, criticism maybe, etc., etc. So that's what this slide is. Next one. And you got the 4 phase of sexual response. You can tell right there in this slide. So if you want to read them, go ahead and check them out. Next one. Then we got interactive models. You can see that there's basically different types from 1979 and then early 2009, etc., etc. Okay, the next one. Then this is just an example of what you'll see in this one, which there's different types of expression of graphics right there, right? And that's what this one's talking about in this example. Then you got this one too as well. There's also talking about the same thing. There's nothing around there that show difference otherwise. Then you also have this one where a woman's breasts, you see the response and how the sexual increases through this example right here. That's what this one's mostly referring to. And this was like 1999. So, and then we got this one over here, which is myth regarding sex. There's 2 types of organisms. I believe whatever it is, all organisms are experienced the same regards of the point of origin. That's what this one is about. Then we got this one over here, message about sexuality in the group's discussions. You can see they have each one they labeled in there if you're interested in this slide. Then gender stereotypes regarding sex. You see the 2 differences were male and female, where they don't really know that much. And the female side, where the males is just a lot of it. That's basically what I'm suffering with and as a male because of that situation in the brain. But we try to, continue to do our most differences, though it's really changed between the 2, how the handles. And then differences in message about sex, of course. You can see the restrictions placed on female sexuality. You can see the example pictures of different types, etc., etc. So if you want to know more of this, you can pause it and check and continue reading this. Then you have this one, of course, where it's differences that actually exist with the respect of 2 sex, which mostly within women, and right here, the results and the possible. You can also check that out as well to know more about it. And you got a graph right here, the intersection of the gender and race and sexuality, whites, African Americans, Latin, and Asian Americans, right there to tell the age, the percentage, etc. For some reason they don't have the chart for the last one, but the other ones they do. Then you got this one, sexual development, early sexual experiences that may be masturbation. Of course, that happens a lot with boys, like it or not. But mostly this talks about everything you need to know within this slide about that development. All right, and the next one. Then you got this one, of course. There's gender differences and the sexual, well, in the experience of sex. Reasons of 401 and course, and you got the other ones as well, etc., etc. You can also see the difference of the two. Then you got the differences in consequences, emotions, what they experience, and then each one, including there's a link to this right there. I'll also leave it in the descriptions if you're kind of curious what this is about and what's expected in this. Then you have this slide too as well. You have links in here. This is mostly the sexual behavior, and these links right here to show them to you. So that would give you time to look into them. I'll leave it also in the description so you could see exactly what this is talking about. And then you got birth control and other conversations, which this slide closely talks about. And we have two links right there. I'll leave it also in the description so you could see this and pause it to read it to understand what's more about it. All right. Then we could have obstacles to using, of course, everything that's in there, etc., etc. So that's what this one, next one. Then this one has a video that I'll leave on the playlist on YouTube, so you could check that video out about this the pill that turns 50. You see that what that's about. And then this one, of course, is type of compensations. You could see everything you need to know, including this image right here. It shows each and every thing. Now, I don't like the needle thing, but that's there. It's scary to know about this, so gotta be careful with those. Then you have different type of example right here of what actually these are for. This is something completely different. I don't know anything about this, but those who are females can actually look into this and see what that is. Then you have barrier defectives, of course. It tells you each one of those that are specifically there, what kind of barriers it is. Then you have this one that shows you exactly something else entirely. You know, that's something else. And then you have this one, shows you examples of how to insert it. You know, now again, I would be honest to tell you this is out of my league, so I'm just gonna leave it as it is. You're welcome to pause it and read it as through there. Then the diagram of the sponge, of course, that's what that one's about. Shows you exactly what that does and what it's there for, etc., etc. So there's that one. Then this one's how to use that as well, which is completely different. Now, I don't leave it to you to pause the video and read it if you want to. That's up to you. So what that one is. Then you got the anal and digital sex and sex toys, which this is basically just talking about in this slide what's expected in there, what's the risks, or anything that shows you how to do's and directions. Now, not two directions, just what it will look like. Then there's this one too, where do's and don'ts. You're familiar with this. That's what this slide is basically going to be talking about. Leave it to you to pause it, to read it, and move on. And then we got sex disorders. This happens to a lot of individuals with that where it's mostly an impact to whatever it may be. So that's what this slide's going to be talking about. You could pause it to read more about it. We'll move on to the next slide. And of course, we have these three types that show you more about it. So that's what this slide's going to also be talking about. Then we have women's sexuality problems, a new view. You still see more about this from 2001, etc., etc. So that's what this slide is also going to be discussing about. So you can go ahead and read it and then just move on to the next. Then we have this one, the sexual problems. Of course, we continue talking about this over and over that every single time with this, and that's what this slide actually presents. And then we got sex therapy, of course, from 1995 to 1996. This was happening a while back, and I guess, you know, as times change, things always change. That's what this slide's gonna usually talk about, and then that one. And then resources. This is useful for those into human health. That's what this one's basically showing. And that shows you even more human health sources. What that one also is going to be talking about. I'll also leave all those things that you've seen in the description, so don't worry about it. And then we have books. Well, these are good resources for books. So those are interested, I'll also leave it in the description. That way you could see each and every one of those that you see right here in the notes, that you will find them on the description. All right. So that's what this chapter is about. Thank you again so much for tuning into this. We'll wait and see what happens and look around as much as possible for days. We'll leave it as this until the next chapter. And that's about it. All right. Thank you good so much.